had Zach here this morning. Zach's been shooting some of my videos, so we got him in for a session, and he hasn't had a golf lesson before. So in that situation, I'm trying to be aware that, how he sort of interprets his swing. So we talked a little bit about like what he focuses on, and then we did a little bit of an assessment to see how he moves. Just there was a couple things that he had some tendencies with that I just wanted to make sure either it's conceptual or it would be physical. So we went into a little bit of how his trail hip was moving, and then a little bit of how his upper body or his chest was moving in the swing. And then based on sort of his shot patterns, we went through it. We started, and this happens sometimes, we started with, I tried to just do one very simple thing with how his chest was moving. So his tendency at the start was when he would start a little bit ahead of it. His shots were either pushes or hooks, okay? So he's a little ahead of it at the start, and then you show me backswing, your old backswing. So his old backswing, his head would be in front of it, okay? And then as he'd start to come down, he'd have to rock backwards through the shot. So the first step was, could we get him to move his chest behind the ball at address a little bit, and then in the backswing. So you show me backswing. Okay, good. So now we're getting his chest behind the ball, okay? So my first feedback was, can he move his chest this way? And his brain interpreted it with, I'm gonna turn more, okay? So that, obviously, I didn't like the direction of that, and that changed the club position. So we talked a bit about the club position, but again, it was a lot of work. Like I could see him mentally working pretty hard. So what we did was you just brought it down, and sometimes it's important to just start with smaller swings when you're trying to work on something. So we just started with more of like a chest high, sort of stomach high swing, where we're trying to get, instead of tilt, we're getting some turn with the torso and the chest, okay? Now his hands are in front of his pivot. He's used his trail hip now, okay? Versus before, the trail hip would sort of slide out or sway towards me. So now he's turning it, he's turned the chest, the club's here. So what's that allowing him to do? Now show me through the finish there, Zach. So he's able to unwind that turn, which helped as a reaction, right? So it had the TrackMan running the whole time. We only really referenced it right at the end because I think the TrackMan is just giving us feedback. It's not gonna tell us the exact way that we're gonna make the adjustment. My goal is to make the adjustment, and then we see the numbers start to adjust based on how we're making the adjustment, okay? So for him, when we got the backswing more matched up, the hands more in front of his chest, he was able to unwind. So that started to bring the path, instead of 10 from the inside, it started to neutralize. We were about 2-3 inside, but he was turning a lot more, right? So if I tilt on my way back and I tilt on my way through, that's gonna really adjust path. If I turn on my way back and I turn on my way through, it's gonna be a little bit easier to have that circle work a bit more neutral, right? So he did awesome. It was definitely, what do you think for the first lesson?
Crazy.
Yeah, crazy, right?
Body works a little bit more.
Yeah.
Than usual.
Yeah, and it's one of those, like, some people that I would teach it would be like, oh, that might not be an extreme feel. It's like, oh yeah, that's not that extreme. But for someone that hasn't had a lesson, it's like his brain had sort of one way that he liked to swing. So at the start, it was pretty extreme. And then as we kept progressing, I think it started to get more natural, right? So. Yep. So sometimes it's really important to be very clear on what's right for you, and then from there, stick to it, work through the uncomfortable sort of feelings. I don't want any pain ever, but if it's uncomfortable, that's okay, as long as it's going the direction that we know ultimately is going to help you play better.
For sure.
Awesome.